In June 2022, I purchased the Levinson 5909 headphones. And in, I think it was about October, I purchased the Bathys. And since then, I've uploaded a versus video on both. Was really intrigued to know what Focal had on offer. Both of these headphones have batteries, and batteries are crucial to their operation. Yesterday, a viewer posted a question regarding the batteries on the Levinson 5909. And this was the question. So when the battery dies, you fork out another $1,000 for a replacement pair. What is the life expectancy of the battery? At least with the Focal Bathys, the battery can be replaced, though at an estimated cost of $200. $100 for the battery and $100 for tech to install. B&W PX8 battery also not replaceable. What are your thoughts? That is a very good question. I have no idea how long batteries last. I think it all depends on use. No doubt batteries in time will fail to charge, but how long that will be, I do not know. But I do know, and I am aware, that with the 5909s, there is no battery replacement available. That question throws a lot of positives on long-term ownership of the Focal Bathys, and it doesn't look too rosy for long-term ownership on the Levinson 5909, and also the B&W PX8. The viewer asked for my thoughts, and this was my reply. Glad you mentioned that. You need to fork out $200 to replace dead batteries in the Focal Bathys. Yes. You cannot replace batteries in the 5909s, I know. Have you noticed that almost everybody asks how do the Focal Bathys sound in DAC mode when wired? They constantly want to know how they sound wired, maybe with the hope of them sounding even better. Yes? People tend to forget that the Focal Bathys need to be switched or powered on to work in Bluetooth or wired or DAC mode. The 5909 do not need to be switched on when wired. In this situation, all electronics are turned off and you are in true passive mode. The 5909 sounds so much better wired. That I can absolutely confirm, even though in Bluetooth they have the LDAC advantage. When the battery dies on the 5909, you still have a fantastic sounding pair of closed back headphones without the ANC or the app. We all know that. When the battery dies on the Focal Bathys, you really do have a pair of dead headphones that will not work and an expensive bill. Recently I travelled on an airline with my 5909. I plugged my headphones in to the screen and they sounded so much better than the connection they had through Bluetooth on the airline. They were not switched on. They do not need to be switched on. They work like any other passive headphone. I can plug them into my MacBook, I can plug them into my smartphone, and they do not need to be switched on. With the Focal Bathys, when the batteries die, you do not have a pair of headphones. They always need to be switched on to be used, just like the B&W PX8. So when the battery dies on the B&W PX8 and on the Focal Bathys, all you have is an expensive pair of earmuffs. Long-term battery life. I think you need to say to yourself, is it something you really need to think about now? You might have upgraded by then. Or there might be many more advanced ANC Bluetooth headphones to tempt you to upgrade. I think there are many more factors you need to put into consideration. We don't know if battery replacement will be cheaper in the future or if it will be more expensive. The H95 is another headphone that suffers. That also needs to be switched on whenever in use. Not too sure whether battery replacement is possible for that model. In the future, it might even be possible to change the batteries on a 5909. Would you be willing to spend another $200 on your Focal Bathys to get them working again, turning them into $1,000 headphones now? I am currently seeing 5909s for $849 in many places. I would still prefer having the 5909, knowing that I can use them passive, wired, even in between recharges, without any battery use, saving my battery while I'm using them, and when the battery dies, I still have a fantastic pair of sounding headphones.